welcome to the live coverage of Formula 3 Asian Championship. This is Feline, and we are now back to Yas Marina Circle for the season finale round. Now, Xiaowei is leading the championship with 221 points, and Guan Yuzhou is just 32 points behind him. And before the restart, let's have a close look of all the team and the drivers' points. And tonight, we also gonna have our first night race of the season. 各位观众，大家好，欢迎回到我们的直播现场，我是菲林。那么即将进行的是国际汽联亚洲3级方程式锦标赛第13回合的比赛了。现在乔伟领先以积分榜以221分，那么周冠宇呢以32分之差位居第2位。在比赛开始之前呢，先让我们首先回顾一下目前的积分情况，而且今晚我们还会有本赛季的第1场夜战。
Thanks, Feline, and a good morning or good afternoon to wherever you're tuning in from. It is, of course, evening in Abu Dhabi for the Yas Marina circuit, and we have a triple header coming up for you over the next 24 hours or so in the concluding round, the 5th and final round of the F3 Asian Championship. 15 races in total, and race 13 just a few minutes away. Now let's take a look at how the points are standing, and you can see that Pierre-Louis Chauvet of France has a fairly sizable lead, 32-point lead from China's Zhou Guanyu in second place with 189, with Jahan Darivala from India still in mathematically in contention for this championship, a further 33 points behind Zhou in second. However, Zhou starts on pole position for this evening's race, Chauvet down in 5th, so this could tighten by the end of the night. And then we have 2 races in afternoon local time in Abu Dhabi tomorrow. In the Rookie Cup, Japan's Ayuma Iwasa has a 14-point lead over Reese Ushijima. Isaac Hadjar has completed his stint, so he is no longer in contention for the Cup, but Turkey's Chambolik Basi, very popular esports turned racing driver, sits in 4th. He'll be looking to get up into at least 3rd and possibly challenge for the Rookie Cup. In the team's standings, Abu Dhabi Racing by Prema has a pretty commanding lead, as you can see. They were the favourites coming into this championship and have justified that tag. Pinnacle Motorsport and Evans GP are rounding out the podium positions at the moment, but Mumbai Falcons Indian racing team just 8 points behind Evans for 3rd. Now let's take a look at all the racing from last weekend. 3 races in total. Let's check out what happened.
Zhou on pole position, Chauvet on grid 2. They raced side by side down into turn 1. Indeed, they were side by side for much of the first lap of the race. A tense battle between the championship contenders. Patrick Pasma, a brilliant start in the Oli Evans GP car, up into 3rd place. When Bartignon and Villagomez came together with 2 laps to the checkered flag, the safety car was deployed. Chauvet taking his 5th victory of the series from Zhou.
And at the end, I managed to stay in front. And then the pace wasn't the best, so it was really hard to stay in front, but I'm happy about that. It was pretty difficult. The guy next to me had a pretty brilliant start, and then the race we had a strong pace, but we couldn't keep up in the slipstream.
From pole position, Kushmaini led the field into turn 1, with Pasma hounding the back of the Indian. Front 2 pulled away, but when Amna and Arena came together, the Emirati retired, the Russian continued on, and the safety car was deployed. Back green with the move of the series, Pasma passed Maini and pulled away for his maiden series victory. Then clashed with Roy Nassani, a disappointing end for Maini. As Pasma took the win under yellows from Zhou in 2nd, and still the series leader Chauvet in 3rd.
Yeah, I'm really happy to score a victory, and also it's the first one for the team, so I'm really happy.
Yeah, really happy to pick up P2 here. It's good for the points at the end. Nice start, and then tough battle with Zhu, but nice. Really happy about that.
Sensation at the start when Zhou stalled. The pole sitter lucky not to be collected as his main title rival Chauvet raced away into the lead. Daruvala saw his championship hopes virtually end when he came together with Bardignon. This brought out not the safety car but the red flag. At the restart, Chauvet raced into the distance to take his 6th win of the series. Series debutant David Vidalis a brilliant second ahead of Pasma, whilst Juan Yujo recovered extremely well for 4th place.
Yeah, the pace was really nice, so really happy about that, and now focus on the last round for the title.
I think we are making good steps in the right direction, so just now let's prepare for Abu Dhabi to make a good weekend.
But I think, yeah, we maximized the points from these 2 races, so yeah, not too bad.
Well, it was Chauvet's weekend, wasn't it? 2 wins and a 3rd place across the 3 weekends, and he's in fact now won 6 of the 12 races, including 3 at Yas Marina. This circuit we're racing back on here tonight. Let's take a look at this circuit. As you can see, there are 21 turns. This is a slightly new layout. When we came here for rounds 2 and 3, we didn't race across the existing T5, 6 and 7, so we're going to have a longer straight on the backside there coming into turn 8, and that is where we might see some overtakes, including into turn 11 as well. The drivers have been told that if they kind of miss the braking point at turn 11 through that wiggle through 12 and 13, that they can rejoin for no penalty as long as they don't gain an advantage. They were penalised pretty heavily in the qualifying sessions for going over the track limits, but let's hope for a clean race tonight. Now, the tyres we raced on, as you can see from the logo in the top right-hand corner, GT tyres, well known in this part of the world. Let's find out more about the tyre and what they do for Asian motorsports.
Tire established in 1951. We have 4 ID centers in China, Indonesia, America, and Germany. Also, we have 8 factories in the world, 6 in China, 1 in America, and 1 in Indonesia. Actually, in the past decades, GT Tire have taken part in a lot of motorsports in the world. For example, we have Nürburgring 24 hours in European, and we have Formula Drift series in the American. Also, as you know, we have the Formula 3 Asia series here now. For the tires, we have one is slick tire for the dry condition, and the other is the wet tire for the wet condition. This championship is a very good platform to show and prove our technology and product. So we are very proud to be the partner from the 4th season to now. And for this series, we not only provide the product, and also we provide the on-site technical service to better support the team and drivers. The racetrack is always the best place to prove our technology, to testing our tires. So we will continue to develop more products and more technology to challenging the future technology. Also, we will apply this technology to the commercial tires to better satisfy our everyday customers.
Well, we've just finished a 4-hour Asian Le Mans Series race here on this circuit, and they raced with the Michelin tyres as happened last weekend, so that has changed the running of these GT tyres for the F3 Asian Championship. Not for better or for worse, just different, and the drivers will have to adapt to that as the weekend goes on. Now, sitting on pole position tonight is China's Zhou Guanyu. He is desperate to get back to the top of the championship table. He can't do that tonight. He's still more than 25 points behind Pierre-Louis Chauvet, but with 25 points tonight, then he will close that gap significantly. He qualified on pole position for tonight and spoke to Feline afterwards. Let's hear what he had to say.
So, Guanyu Zhou, we back to Yas Marina Circuit, and you just finished P1 for just finished the qualifying and got P1 for race 13. What will be your approach?
Well, yeah, I mean, from my point of view, you know, for my target was just to have a clean start and to get the P1. So, score as much points as I can when my championship main contender is behind. So, yeah, that's my key. We did the job right now to be double pole in qualify. So, definitely a lot improvement from last time we was here. So, make a job with the team to improve that, and yeah, focus on the races. There's only one goal, is get the victory.
Zhou Guanyu there, who starts from pole position for this evening's race. 30 minutes on the clock. As you can see, they will do one formation lap and then a standing start. If you haven't joined us for any of the previous 12 races here for the F3 Asian Championships, that is the format. And we are set for more excitement here. There's some extremely talented drivers in this series. We have 21 drivers in all across 15 nationalities. 12 of them are teenagers. So plenty of youth here, and several of them hoping to eventually make it into Formula One. They won't all do it, of course, but I would wager that at least a handful may get a few races on the ultimate stage. Good to see so many of you tuning in across all our social media platforms tonight. Keep those comments coming. And Zhou Guanyu was also saying to Feline after he qualified that he prefers this layout of the track. He's more familiar with it, has raced here before, but hadn't raced on the adapted layout that we saw for rounds 2 and 3 for those previous 6 races, when in truth he didn't actually perform that well. But he says he's more comfortable this weekend. He was top across all the practice sessions this weekend and qualified on pole for both this race and for race 15. And then the middle race of the weekend, race 14, will be decided by the fastest lap in today's race. So keep an eye on that, and I will do my best to update you as to who is going quickest. Not necessarily the leading driver, of course. So Zhou Guanyu is the man who has won 2 races, the first 2 races of the season, but hasn't won since. And it's Pierre-Louis Chauvet, championship leader, who is down on 5th position in the grid, who has won half of the races we've had so far. He has been a revelation in this championship. He actually qualified 5th fastest initially in the earlier qualifying session, and was demoted to 6th for crossing track limits at one point, and then back to 5th because Jahan Durivala was demoted 3 grid positions for an incident that he had last time out in Dubai, where he came together with Turkish racer Canbolak Bassi, and then stopped right ahead of Alexandre Bardinon, the Frenchman, who had absolutely nowhere to go, and that ended both Bardinon and the Indians race as well. Alongside Zhou Guanyu on the front row of the grid is Patrick Pasma, who's finished 1st and 3rd in his last 2 starts, who's really come into form at the right time. 20-year-old Finnish driver, racing for the Evans GP team. On the 3rd row of the grid, Roman Stanek from the Czech Republic, who's performed very, very well to be up into 3rd. He finished 4th in race 11 last week, and that's his best performance of the season. And we're just about, well, 2 minutes or so, 3 minutes perhaps, away from the start of this race. We'll just wait for that grid to clear any moment now, and then we'll have that formation lap. Zhou Guanyu is on pole position front left of your screen as we look down this straight. And it's Patrick Pasma in a distinctive turquoise and pink car on the right-hand side. Now this circuit runs anti-clockwise, like a lot of the circuits do in North America, but fairly unusual to find in Europe, so just depending on where you watch the bulk of your racing. And different to what we saw last weekend as well, with pole position on the other side of the grid too. So Joe Guanyu and Patrick Pasma on the front row of the grid, Roman Stanek and Kushmani of India, who had some great pace last weekend, but it's a pretty interesting, probably the most drama of all the drivers. Race 10, he had a 10-place grid penalty, man, he did, for an engine change. Then he set the fastest lap, but wasn't able to get a qualification time, so got a DNF in race 10. Started in pole position for race 11, but was taken out late in the race by Roy Nassani. Got another DNF. Then in race 12, he started in position number 8th, got himself up into 4th, crossed in 6th, was later promoted to 5th. So he was a roller coaster ride, both on the track and emotionally for the 20-year-old Indian driver. And he starts in a creditable 4th position alongside Roman Stanek. Then Pierre-Louis Chauvet, the championship leader, is in 5th alongside Jahan Duravala in 6th. Roy Nassani, who always seems to be in the thick of the action, starts in 7th alongside the Spanish David Vidales, who came 2nd last time out, showed some great pace as he was a late addition to this championship. And then the Rookie Cup leader, Ayumu Iwasa of Japan, is in 9th alongside 16-year-old Alex Connor, who, despite having a British passport, is a local boy here. He is a second-generation Dubai expat, lived in Dubai all his life. So we will be getting this formation lap underway. Joe Guanyu on the left-hand side of your screen leads the field away. And we can recap the starting order for you in just a moment. 21 racers in this field, 2 female drivers, as you would know for our regular watchers of the championship. Joe Guanyu and Patrick Pasma on the front row of the grid. Behind them, Roman Stanek in 3rd, with India's Kushmani in 4th on the 3rd row. Championship leader Pierre-Louis Chauvet looking for his 7th win in this season. Jahan Duravala alongside him. Then comes Israel's Roy Nassani and David Vidales, 2nd last time out. Ayumu Iwasa and Alex Connor on the 5th row of the grid. Then come Turkish racer Cembol Ibasi. A lot of fans tuning in to watch him, to see how he does, alongside Reis Ushijima, Rafael Villagomez and Nicola Marinangeli from Italy on the 7th row of the grid. Then the Frenchman Alexandre Bardemont, DNF last time out. He'll be hoping for better this time around than the young Spaniard Lorenzo Fluxat. Irina Sordikova of Russia on the 9th row alongside Alessio Deledda. Amna Al-Kubaisi, our other female driver, alongside Khaled Al-Kubaisi on the 10th row of the grid, and Roberta Frio, who had some issues in qualifying, rounds out the field for today. So 30 minutes around this Yas Marina circuit, 5.5 kilometers in length, and plenty of places for action. Turns 8 and turns 11, 2 of the key areas to watch if we are to get some overtaking action, but plenty of those blue runoff sections that you can see here, that sometimes you do see drivers cutting the corners accidentally, and so the stewards definitely have their work cut out to see if any illegal advantage has been gained. Generally, if the drivers are able to give any positions back, then they get away without the penalty. But very experienced team of officials with their eagle eyes around all the cameras on this track. China's Zhou Guanyu leads the field around the final few turns as we complete this formation lap. And time is running out if the Chinese driver is going to mount a serious challenge for the title. He is 32 points behind Pierre-Louis Chauvet, but he starts in 5th position, so a real opportunity here for China's Zhou Guanyu to try to close the gap. And we also know he has another pole position later in the weekend, so this championship could go right down to the wire. Zhou Guanyu and Patrick Pasma on the front row of the grid down into turn 1. Roman Stanek and Kushmani on the second row. Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Jahan Duravala on the third row. Roy Nissany and David Vidales on row number 4. And Ayuma Iwasa and Alex Connor rounding out the top 10. There comes the green flag at the back of the grid. Watch for those lights to come on. And when they go out, we are away here at the Yas Marina circuit. Now, Zhou Guanyu had a terrible start last time out, but he seems to have got away. But Pasma is right alongside him. Oh, and they're very close together there. And Pasma looks to have nudged past him on the inside there. So a very good start for the Finnish driver. And Zhou is right behind him. He'll be furious. He was desperate to stay ahead into that turn 1, but he hasn't managed to do it. And once again, we've seen a very, very good start as Pierre-Louis Chauvet has a look behind Kushmani, just behind them in the battle for 5th place right now, and some clashes just behind them as well. Well, Kushmani has held on to 4th place, and it looks like Chauvet may have dropped back a little bit there as well, but it's Patrick Pasma of Finland who won 2 races ago, his first win of the season, and he's carried on this good form down the road from Dubai here into Yas Marina. And that's Roy Nissany also having a look at Chauvet, so I'm not sure if something's happened to the championship leader, but he is going backwards at the start here, which could make the title fight even more interesting. But Zhou Guanyu needs to get up into the lead. Patrick Pasma with the early inroads here, and Chauvet battling there with Roy Nissany, going wide and running off as well. Now, what's going to happen as he cuts the corner here? Now, they'll definitely be looking about that, because that is one of the areas I was telling you about before. If you cut the corner and gain advantage, well, Chauvet will feel perhaps that he was forced off and he won't want to give that place back. The stewards may see it differently. So if we get any information, I will let you know. Patrick Pasma leads from Zhou Guanyu. Roman Stanek still in 3rd place. Kushmani of India currently in 4th. And then some changes further down the field. Now we can update you in just a moment. And it looks like it's Vidales now who's gone up into 5th, who started in 8th position, so a very good start for him. So Patrick Pasma leads from Zhou Guanyu, Roman Stanek in 3rd, Kushmani in 4th. Vidales up into 5th. Pierre-Louis Chauvet took back that place from Roy Nissany that he'd lost. Nissany is in 7th. Jahan Duravala has fallen back from 6th into 8th position. Alex Connor is in 9th, Ayuma Iwasa in 10th. Then Cem Bolokbasi is in 11th position, Rafa Villagomez in 12th. Rhys Ushijima, Nicola Marangangeli and Alessio Deletta round out the top 15 positions. And Lorenzo Fluxa and Roberto Faria had some issues. They have gone back into the pits. Faria had been dogged by trouble all weekend long. Fluxa started in 16th position. So if we get word on what happens to them, we'll let you know. Patrick Pasma with the early gains ahead of that man there, Zhou Guanyu. And those two opening just a little bit of a gap over Roman Stanek. Stanek just 16 years old, currently in 3rd position. Then Kushmani and David Vidales and Pierre-Louis Chauvet has fallen back into 6th position. Significant because he is the hot favourite for the title with a 32-point gap with 3 races left, but currently on course for just 8 points. If things stay as they are, Zhou Guanyu will get 18, so he will have cut that lead by a third. Now, cars 3 and 14 are under investigation, and that, as we suspected, Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Roy Nassani. Now, without seeing a replay, it looked as though Chauvet had come together and was battling closely with the Israeli driver and was forced wide and then cut the corner and came back in onto the track ahead of Nassani. Chauvet would have thought he was owed that position, having been forced off. Nassani would have thought differently. So under investigation, no news at the moment as to how the stewards are going to rule on that incident, but that could be further drama if either are penalised. At the moment, it is Chauvet in 6th ahead of Roy Nassani in 7th. So Patrick Pasma had about a 1-second lead after the first lap. Let's see what he's at as we get... Sorry, after 2 laps. Let's see what he's at as we get 3 laps in the books. The front 2 edging away from the rest of the field. Joe will want to make sure that he's still in touch to see if he can make an attack on the lead at some point. And it is Pasma with the pace, as you would expect from the race leader. He currently, early on, has the fastest lap ahead of Zhou Guanyu. A reminder that the fastest lap from today's race, well, the fastest one from each driver, is how the grid for race 14 is set. So even if you are way down the field, still plenty to race for in the latter stages of the race, and we saw that with Kushmani last week. Many there just having a little bit of a rumble on the edge of the track. So Zhou Guanyu has slightly closed the gap down to 0.8 of a second, and then about a 3-second gap further back to Roman Stanek. Then it's all pretty close between Kushmani in 4th, David Vidales in 5th, Pierre-Louis Chauvet in 6th, Roy Nassani in 7th, those two under investigation, remember. Jahan Derivala is close behind Roy Nassani, the Indian driver, currently in 8th position. Alex Connor in 9th, and here is Nassani, hotly pursued by Pierre-Louis Chauvet. And as I was going through those timings, apologies, we've had another switch in position between those two. Back to Stanek in 3rd place. And Chauvet again trying to get past. Well, these two are yo-yoing positions. And let's hope that that ongoing fight, always good to see, but let's hope that they can keep it clean. But still no word on if there's going to be any penalty from that early incident, which is under investigation. Patrick Pasma, the race leader, with the perfect start at the beginning of this race, but he has Zhou Guanyu, 2nd in the championship, right behind him. Pasma will be looking for crucial championship points of his own. He's currently 6th overall in the standings, but Isaac Hadjar and Dino Beganovic, neither of them are here as planned. They were only going to join for part of the championship. They are currently in 4th and 5th in the overall standings, but a win here would take Pasma up into 4th overall. So he will be very keen to put 25 points on the board. So now down to 6/10 of a second between the front two, as Zhou Guanyu has been pretty quick, especially around sector 1 and 2 of this track. He was telling us beforehand that he prefers those two areas, that's where he's most comfortable. Struggles by his own admission a little bit around the final sector. So Pasma has a lead of just over half a second. This right here is the battle for 6th position. Roy Nassani currently ahead of Pierre-Louis Chauvet. And then right behind them, Durivala and Connor. And Bolek Barsi just about a second or so further back in 10th position. So after that early change at the front, after a textbook start from Patrick Pasma, we haven't seen a whole lot of positional changes, with the exception of Pierre-Louis Chauvet and Roy Nassani. And Pierre-Louis Chauvet is right behind him. You can see just out of shot. Perhaps coming into shot in a second here. He will be desperate to get past him, particularly if, as he may suspect, penalties are handed out. He'll want to get absolutely as far up the field as he can. Now, one driver we have seen cut through the competition after falling back after a poor start has been Zhou Guanyu. But it's the start that's been the issue. He was on pole position last weekend and seemed to perhaps have stalled or did a false start and then stopped and went again, but was down in 15th position by the time he got going again. And the Chinese driver managed to get himself back up into 4th, which was a fantastic recovery. But the start is what he will have spent some time looking at. Would have wanted to put himself in that position in the first place. And again, it wasn't a poor start today, but Pasma's was better. As he went down the inside, covered that ground, and got up into the lead. 5 laps in the books. Patrick Pasma just a slightly better lap there. 2:07.9 was the quickest of the field. And that is Alex Connor, the number 5 car, who is in hot pursuit of Jahan Durivala for 8th position. Local driver, as I mentioned, will be pretty familiar with this. And there, Pierre-Louis Chauvet lining up Roy Nassani once again, as Connor tries to get a peek around either side of Jahan Durivala. And Roy Nassani is always seems to be in the middle of some sort of drama. You can't take your eyes off the Israeli. But he is doing a pretty good job at the moment, as we approach the halfway point in this race, of holding off the championship leader. Now Chauvet will know that he has a huge lead in the championship at the moment, and he's still going to pick up some championship points here. Connor now very close, but also has Bolek Barsi right behind him as well. So these drivers right together, and if there's any mistake, the Turkish driver will be looking to pounce. Patrick Pasma has just completed another lap. The lead is edging out very slightly again, close to a second. Then a large gap, nearly 5 seconds, to Roman Stanek in 3rd. But this, the battle for 8th, 9th and 10th. And Ayumu Iwasa right behind them as well. He'll want to get up into the points, but he'll also be scoring pretty well in the Rookie Cup standings as well. He leads that from Rhys Usajima. And Usajima is in 12th position right behind him as well. Now Lorenzo Fluxar was able to get back out of the pits but unfortunately for Alexandre Bardinon, he had an issue and he is still in the pits. So, big issues for Roberto Faria and Alexandre Bardinon. Lorenzo Fluxat back in 19th position, but is back out on the track. Patrick Pasma, the race leader, and he's looking pretty comfortable, it has to be said. Did all the hard work at the start of this race. And we have tended to see a bit of a trend in the F3 Asian Championship with 3 races across each of the 5 race weekends. We have seen the drivers be a touch more cautious in the opening race of the weekend. An increasing amount of action and drama and overtakes as the weekend progresses. Now Rafa Villagomez, currently in 13th position, has been declared abusing the track limits at turn 1 on lap 7. So that may just be the scrubbing of a fast lap for him, which of course is significant in setting the grid for tomorrow's race. But it won't affect, currently, at any rate, the overall points situation, even though he is in the Rookie Cup as well. So Patrick Pasma now the lead of more than a second, the largest it's been in the race so far. It looked like Joe was closing on him, but the Finn now just beginning to inch away. And Roy Nassani seems to have eased the pressure that was right behind him. This is Roman Stanek, the number 11 car, in 3rd position. And a very good drive so far for the young Czech driver. Kushmaini will be pretty happy with 4th position after all the drama that he experienced last weekend. But he won't be counting any chickens just yet, because he was taken out almost, even though it was declared a racing incident by the Israeli driver Roy Nassani last weekend. Just when he'd been leading for much of race 11 and then was in 2nd position when that happened. That is Roberto Fluxat trying to make his way back up the field, but he's a little bit out of touch, having spent some early time in the pits, the number 62 car. So he is about a minute off the back of the field right now, but will be doing his best to set the quickest possible lap time so that he can start much higher up in tomorrow's race. He started from 16th position, but has posted a 2:08.7, which looks at the moment certainly to have him in the top 10. So good performance from the Spaniard. It will be already thinking about tomorrow. Patrick Pasma still leads, 1.5 seconds the gap now, as Pasma processes round, and Joe Guanyu will need to try to make a move if he's going to have any hope of a win here, because Pasma has so far driven a pretty faultless race and doesn't have too much pressure behind him. He'll be aware that he's just extending this lead little by little. Pierre-Louis Chauvet, championship leader, in 7th. He'll be frustrated not only at the performance he's had so far in qualifying and in the practice sessions as well, but in the battle that he's had with Roy Nassani. But he'll also know that if he does anything stupid, perhaps trying to get that place back again and takes himself out, that currently 6 points are better than none. And it will keep the pressure on Joe Guanyu for him to have to do something drastic to get a couple of race wins. in the final 2 races of this championship. FIA there, who is 3 laps off the back of the field, but good to see him back out. And again, like Fluxer, he is motoring around a clear track, trying to set a quick lap time. Now he's at the back, he's had a 2:08.6. That's about a second off Pasma's quickest. Currently, it's only Pasma and Joe who've gone into the 2:07s. So the 1-2 on the track today will also start 1-2 tomorrow as things stand, but still 10 minutes to go. And Pasma, in fact, has just set his quickest of the race, the 2:07.6, as he has now a 2-second lead over Zhou Guanyu in this race. Under 10 minutes to go now. It's 30 minutes and then the final lap. So more of a sprint race here. Roman Stanek started from 3rd, and that's where he still is. Very good performance from Roman. Stanek finished 4th in race number 11. But this would be his first podium of the season after finishing in the sort of 7, 8, 9 position several times earlier in the season. He's found some pace, found some form, and has really stepped it up in the last 2 to 3 races. David Vidales as well, 2nd last time out, currently 5th. So another good race from him, and he started from 8th on the grid today. Now another investigation, this time into Alex Connor, who has potentially overrun the track, or undercut the track perhaps, on both laps 8 and 9. So they might be scrubbing out another of the laps. And I can tell you for the qualifying session early today, there were a lot of these laps deleted. These stewards were definitely not letting anything whatsoever go. But hopefully you won't have too many penalties or grid positions moving after the checkered flag. Roman Stanek and Kushmani there, 3rd and 4th. With David Vidales behind these two, and the field now beginning to get pretty spread out. Bassani and Chauvet in the battle for 6th, still within a second of each other, so we might see some positional changes there. But as I said, drivers tending to be a little bit more cautious in the first race of the weekend, even though this is the 7th race at this particular circuit, with the 15 races happening across just the Dubai Autodrome for round 1 and round 4. And then rounds 2, 3, and this, the 5th and final round of the championship, with 3 races across each round happening here at the Yas Marina circuit. The only difference, as I mentioned before the race, if you missed that, is that this is a slightly different layout. This is the F1 circuit that you will be familiar with. If you're a fan of F1, slightly longer straight down into turn 8. The layout that we had for rounds 2 and 3 is a slightly shorter version. Just cuts off 5, 6 and 7. Patrick Pasma now with 2.2 seconds the gap, with less than 6 minutes to go, and is looking very, very good for the Finn. And he has really found a rich vein of form late in this championship. He's no stranger to some of the other drivers in this championship. Competed against Pierre-Louis Chauvet last year in the Formula Regional European Championship. And despite the standings here in the F3 Asian Championship, it was Pasma who got the better of the Frenchman last year, finishing 4th overall, 1 spot ahead of Chauvet. Now, we have had a change, not in the standings, but Zhou Guanyu has just dropped a 207.632, which is 3/100ths of a second quicker than Patrick Pasma's fastest time so far. So Zhou Guanyu, at the moment, is on course to start from pole position for all 3 races, and that certainly turns up the heat on championship leader Pierre-Louis Chauvet, down in 7th position here. He's only on course to collect 6 championship points. So Zhou is looking to pick up 12 points on the leader. That will cut it down to 20 points with 2 races to go. And Zhou Guanyu, if he can convert those remaining pole positions, at least one he has banked for race number 15. And Roman Stanek, I can tell you, has just had some sort of incident. He's gone down 3 places. So an issue for the young Trek driver. Something happened in sector 3 of his last lap, and he has been overtaken by Kushmani, David Vidales and Roy Nassani, but he has come back in ahead of Pierre-Louis Chauvet. So no changes there in the points at the moment for the championship leader. And a yellow flag being waved on the side, is it? Oh, it's covered by the timing screen, apologies. Didn't seem to be a car on the track. So Patrick Pasma with 12 laps to go, and that is Stanek, so he hasn't rejoined at all. He just managed to cross, which is why he was logged in 6th position, completing that lap, but he has fallen out of the running here. So good news for Pierre-Louis Chauvet. He will pick up an extra 2 points. He will move up into 6th position. And not for the first time in this championship, it looks like we may have a yellow flag for the end of the race. There's Stanek, almost disguised on the side of the track there. I missed it for a moment, but had some sort of issue, and massive disappointment for him, on course for his first podium of the season, but something happened, and that means that Kushmani now is moments away from his first podium. And after the drama that he had, it couldn't happen to a nicer person in terms of someone who needed a little bit of good fortune. 2 DNFs last time out after doing the very best that he could do. But Kushmani from the Mumbai Falcons team is just over a minute away from finishing on the podium for the first time this season. His teammate, Jahan Darivala, was so strong last time out in Yas Marina and took victory in races 4, 5 and 9, all here on the Yas Marina circuit, but is down in 7th position today. So he struggled a little bit more on this extended layout. But take nothing away from Patrick Pasma, who has been putting in some very quick lap times. Not quite the quickest. Zhou Guanyu in 2nd position has the fastest, and provisionally he will be on pole for the first of the 2 races we have tomorrow to finish the championship. Patrick Pasma, who started in position number 2 and was the leader from the first turn of this race, still leads, is moments away from his 2nd win of the championship, and with the timing clock just not quite down into 0, we will have one more lap with Stanek's car still marooned there on that home straight. Pasma finished under yellow last time out as well when he took his first win of the championship, but he sped up as much as he could to try and take the win at full speed. Always a great moment for drivers, no matter whether the safety car is out or not. Fortunately, we haven't had a safety car, it's just that yellow flagged section of the track. So 25 points going to the Finn. He will go up to 4th in the standings. 18 points will go to Zhou Guanyu in 2nd position, and Pierre-Louis Chauvet will take 8 points, so he'll slip down. His lead will be cut to 22 points with 2 races to go, but Zhou Guanyu will try to maintain that pressure with pole positions in each of the next 2 races. We haven't had a whole lot of action in today's race, it has to be said, but do tune in again tomorrow if you can and see who's going to win this championship fight. It looks like it is going absolutely right down to the wire. Chauvet has struggled all weekend long, and there was still that incident, remember, that he had with Roy Nassani. So these scores that I'm giving you still provisional at this stage. I don't know how the stewards will rule on that incident, one way or the other, or just let it go. Patrick Pasma now about to take the checkered flag for the 2nd time in this championship, and there it is. He'll be a happy man. Zhou Guanyu, confirmation that he finishes in 2nd, which is where he will remain for now in the championship standings. And Kushmaini comes round to take 3rd position, the first podium position for him. David Vidales crosses in 4th, Roy Nassani in 5th, championship leader Pierre-Louis Chauvet in 6th, Jahan Darivala in 7th, Chembulak Basi in 8th, Rhys Ushijima ahead of Ayuma Iwasa. That could have some implications for the Rookie Cup standings. They take the final points in the overall positions. Then Rafa Villagomez crosses in 11th. Nicolo Marinangeli from Italy in 12th. Countryman Alessio Deleda finishes in 13th. Irina Sidorkova in 14th. And Alex Connor looked to have had some sort of issue late on and had to come back into the pits. So 16 drivers taking the checkered flag of the 21 who started, with Khaled Al-Kubaisi and Amna Al-Kubaisi rounding out the field in 15th and 16th. Alex Connor, Roman Stanek, of course. Roberto Faria and Lorenzo Fluxat went out for a few laps and put some pretty quick times in, and then came back into the pits. Alexandre Bardnon had that issue early on. He only got 1 lap in the books. So provisionally for tomorrow, it is going to be Zhou Guanyu on pole. Then Patrick Pasma. Jahan Duravala is going to be in 3rd position on the grid tomorrow. And Khaled Al-Khabaisi, an incredible performance from him, a 2:07.8 in lap number 12 late on in this race, will put him on the 2nd row of the grid, and we haven't seen anything like that form from him so far in the championship. He's always been towards the back end of the field. David Vidales and Kushmani provisionally are going to be on the 4th row. Then Roman Stanek and Pierre-Louis Chauvet starting from 8th position tomorrow. So again, that really opens the door for Zhou Guanyu to eat into that championship lead. But Zhou Guanyu will be desperate to try eventually to sort his starts out. He's had a number of pole positions, but hasn't had a win since the first 2 races of this weekend. As the marshal's just clearing Stanek's car. That is your race winner, Patrick Pasma from Finland. And a pretty dominant performance from the Finn. Took the lead into turn 1 and never looked like losing it. Zhou Guanyu won't be unhappy despite losing the lead. He's picked up 10 championship points in the quest for the title, and he starts on pole tomorrow with his main rival down in 8th position. Zhou then will also start on pole position for the 15th and final race of this championship. Chauvet starts in 6th, so he's really struggled, the Frenchman, this weekend. At the moment, he looks like he's just about got enough to hang on, but there's little margin for error. Of course, if there's any sort of mistake or a DNF from Zhou Guanyu, then it could very quickly be over. So the pressure is still on the Chinese driver, who will be returning for his 3rd consecutive season into F2 in May this year. But this is the man of the hour, Patrick Pasma of Finland. Looking to hear from the top 3 drivers as soon as we can. So don't go anywhere. We'll bring you interviews with Pasma, Zhou and Maini in just a few moments' time. So provisional results. Patrick Pasma for his 2nd win in 3 races. Zhou Guanyu started on pole position but couldn't keep the lead into turn 1. Finished in 2nd. Kushmani in 3rd. David Vidales in 4th position. Roy Nissany and Pierre-Louis Chauvet, an incident between the 2 of them under investigation, so that could yet impact the standings. So before we come to the interviews, let's take a look at the highlights of the race today, with 5 of the drivers having a DNF, but 16 managing to finish. Let's go back to the start and take a quick look at a recap of the race. So Zhou Guanyu got away, he was angled in, you could see his car, but Pasma had a lightning start and Zhou Guanyu was not able to close the door. So Patrick Pasma had that inside line, and Roman Stanek did well to stay into 3rd place. Pierre-Louis Chauvet weaving all over, trying to get past Kushmani into 4th spot, but then he was under pressure from Jahan Duravala and Roy Nissany. The 2 here, this is where Chauvet went wide. This was the incident, because as he comes back in there, Chauvet is ahead of Nissany. When they went off, they were side by side. Now, we didn't get enough of that incident in the build-up to it, but these 2 were battling back and forth for the early part of this race, with Roy Nissany having most of the advantage here. but it was Chauvet who later on got past him. Plenty of battles in midfield before the field spread out slightly. Roman Stanek was doing very, very well in third position until late drama for him. Patrick Pasma was comfortable from the start. Zhou Guanyu got within a second in the early laps, but then Pasma just opened it up. There's Stanek, you can see on the left-hand side, stranded, so he was out of the podium positions. That gave Kushmeni the opportunity to stand on the podium, but Pasma took the win from Zhou Guanyu. That's the Finn celebrating. And don't go anywhere. We will have interviews from the top 3 drivers in just a few moments' time. We'll be right back. Let's hear from Patrick Pasma now, our race winner.
Patrick, congratulations, and tell us about the race.
Yeah, good start and good laps after, so we managed to get the win.
Okay, tell us about the start.
I got a good start. I managed to overtake 2 at the start for P1, and after that I just tried to focus on going forward. Thank you.
Well, just a quick word there from the Finnish victor, Patrick Pasma. And we will hear from Zhou Guanyu, second place driver and second in the championship. He's with Feline right now.
So, Guanyu starting from P1 and finish P2, tell us about the race.
Yeah, the guy got a better start than me, so got away, and obviously P2 is a good point for the championship. I think my main contender finished a little bit behind me, so that's good. And the starting double pole for the Sunday's race or Saturday's race could be, you know, everything can still be possible. And today we're just taking the maximum points we could.
Thank you.
Zhou Guanyu already looking towards tomorrow's race, where he will start on pole position. And we can hear in a moment from India's Kushmeni with his first podium of the season. Let's go down to Feline and hear what Kush has to say.
Ready? So, Kush, tell us about the race. You started from P4 and finished P3. How do you feel?
Yeah, finally, you know, we got a bit of good luck with the high-tech car stopping, but I'll take it after all the luck we've had in the last few rounds. You know, we've had some engine issues throughout the championship, but, you know, all credit goes to Mumbai Falcons. They never stopped believing in what I can do, and finally for this race we got it sorted and we are back to where we should be, so really happy with that.
Thank you.
Well, good to see a smile on Kush's face, underneath the mask, of course, after the misfortune that he had last weekend, but his first podium position of the season, and seemed pretty happy about it. So Pasma stands on the top step. He is the race winner. Zhou Guanyu started from first, was only able to finish in second, but as he mentioned in that interview, he's chipping away at Pierre-Louis Chauvet's championship lead. 2 races left to go. Zhou starts on pole for both of them. Thanks for staying with us and supporting the F3 Asian Championship. we'll be back tomorrow for both of the two races to see whether Chauvet or Joe will be the champion.